Good evening, folks. Tonight, what I wanted to post a video on is how to create an equation or a function of a quadratic from a graph. And I'm going to start this out by finding the function in factored form, and then I'm going to show you how to take that factored form and turn it into standard form. So here we have our parabola. And if we're going to get this started and do this, what we need to have are the roots, or the zeros, or the x-intercepts of the quadratic. So here I've got one at negative 12 and 0, and here's my other one that's 3 and 0. They're very clearly identified. And I also need to have some other point. In this particular one, I happen to have the y-intercept here at 0 and 12. I could have the vertex. I could have some other point. As long as it's a point that is identifiable on the quadratic, I'm okay to use it. However, the roots down here, the x-intercepts, those are a little more important for us. So what do I want to do? Well, now that I got my graph, I got to get started. So the first thing I want to do with any of these is I want to write down my function, or the base function. So I've got f of x is equal to a times x minus r times x minus s. And I'm going to use this function to solve. And from this, we see the important things are the r and the s. Those are the x coordinates. So I'm going to take my two x coordinates, 3 and negative 12, and I'm going to fill them in for r and s. So I end up with f of x is equal to a times x minus negative 3, or minus 3, and x plus 12. Some of you, more savvy viewers, may see that this negative and negative, when you put in a negative 12 for s, it now becomes x minus negative 12, which actually is x plus 12. My next step is to take my coordinate point that I haven't used and fill that in. I'm going to fill in the y coordinate for f of x. I'm going to put it in here as the y value, and I'm going to take my x value, which happens to be 0, and put it in for both my x coordinates. I put it in for both because both of them are x, and they should be the same at this point. So I end up with 12 is equal to a times 0 minus 3 times 0 plus 12. So I then sum, or to the differences here of 0 minus 3 and 0 plus 12. And I now have 12 is equal to a times negative 3 times 12. So 0 minus 3 is negative 3, and 0 plus 12 is 12. I now am going to multiply this out, or product this out, and I'm going to end up with 12 is equal to negative 36a, or now I'm going to figure out what a is, so I'm going to divide by negative 36, and then divide by negative 36, and I get a is equal to negative 1/3. So now I can take this, plug it into my function, and get my factored form. So my factored form is f of x is equal to negative 1/3 times x minus 3 times x plus 12. That's my factored form. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to take this factored form and turn it into standard form. So how am I going to do that? Well, factored form to standard form is not too bad. So first thing we're going to do is write down our function. So here it is, f of x is equal to negative 1/3 times x minus 3 times x plus 12. And I'm going to change it into standard form. It's just some binomial distribution. So I'm just going to do some multiplying. So I'm going to multiply x times x, negative 3 times x, 12 times negative 3, and 12 times x. And I get f of x is equal to negative 1/3 times x squared minus 3x plus 12x minus 36. I'm going to combine these like terms. I have f of x is equal to negative 1/3 times x squared plus 9x minus 36. I now multiply through here, or distribute through by the negative 1/3, and I end up with negative 1/3 x squared minus 3x plus 12. So this function right here is what we would call standard form. You can see here the y-intercept is clear, it's 12, and this function is equivalent to this function. It's just a different way of writing it. The blue at the bottom is in standard, the red at the top is in factored. Both are the same, both have the same graphs, they're just different ways of writing. For those people in my grade 11 class, tomorrow you will have an ICA. The ICA is not too bad. You do need to know how to create this from a graph, these functions. Good luck, and good night.